This is where it's going to get really expensive.
That's a big number.
Yes, we have 2 of those.
4,000, 8,000.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Normalize Talking About Watches with Nikki C. over there.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pinehurst number 2, and myself, Joe.
Episode 4.
We are Epi 4. Full disclosure, we have recorded about 3 episodes before this, and we just released the first one. And so we wanted to say thank you to everybody that actually listened to that, to the very end, people that listened to it for 15 minutes. We still love all of you. I turned into a Bitmoji, so if you didn't see that part, you should get to the end of the epi.
Yeah, fast forward to the end if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Camera went down.
No, but seriously, we got some really cool feedback, really positive feedback, and it means a lot. So, that's really cool that people are listening and actually interested in what we have to say.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's cool that people are trying it, which is nice because there was definitely a fear of, backtrack a little bit. The topic that we chose for a podcast is already something that's a little taboo, let's call it.
Yeah.
So I had a small baby little fear that people would see what the topic is, watches and business, and just be like, if that's not for me, I'm not going to try it out. But long story short, based on the feedback that we've received, personally, people texting us, messaging us, whatever, has been people that I have not talked to in years. Yeah. That I don't know if they're into watches, but they're at least interested in hearing or trying or maybe learning about it. So I think that's cool. I was not expecting that.
We're learning together, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
If you did listen already, again, thank you. And the biggest compliment we could receive is share the show. I mean, we're going to grow organically. For right now, this is just us having fun, learning how to create a podcast, learning more about watches that we already love watches, but we're learning more. I've learned more in the 2-3 weeks that we started recording episodes for this podcast, just from talking to other people, than I think I did, in the past 26 years.
100%.
So that's kind of all part of it. And share the show. If you haven't listened yet, listen. And if you like it, share the show. If you don't like it, send it to somebody and be like, listen to how bad these guys are. Because that would also be cool. Just help us out.
I was going to say, and what the small little batch of data that we've gotten is there's more people interested in watches than I thought. Yeah. So if you're a person that's not interested in watches, but maybe knows someone that is or whatever, share it with them. Yeah. Because we don't have, at least for me, I won't speak for you, but we don't have, I'm going to make sure there's no sounds in this episode like last time.
There's so many dings. You're king of the dings.
Yeah.
King ding. You're the ding king.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, there's I don't know what I was saying.
I don't know either. I love that. The old train of thought lost.
All right, fuck it. Anyway, damn, I had a good point.
That wasn't that good.
Yeah, if I don't remember, it wasn't that good. No, what I was gonna say is there's value in tuning in. Even that's what I was gonna say. There's value in tuning in, even if you're not super interested in watches, because we both got into it by someone else bringing it to our life. I didn't just discover watches out of nowhere. Yeah. Someone else was into it in my life, and then I was like, oh, what's that about? Tell me a little bit about it, and then slowly get into it. So I think there's value. If you're not into watches now, you could become into watches. And
moving forward, I think, we're going to have some cool guests. We're going to talk about some business.
I can't wait to have some guests.
We're going to talk about how to start a podcast. So if that's something you're interested in, kind of
that's true.
Tune in to the every 1 in 5 episodes might be more fully focused. Today, we're going to focus a lot more on the podcast itself, podcast startup costs, podcast business. Yep. We're going to do other podcasts like this. So I think that's going to be something that's interesting for more people, more all-inclusive than just watches or just business.
And we can make it cool. We'll make it very clear for people too. like we'll title the episode or explain it, or when we share it on Instagram, like, hey, this podcast is more geared towards podcasting,
right?
Not so much watches. That way people you don't have to, it's not a guessing game of like, all right, is this going to be one I'm interested in? And that's completely cool with me personally. Yeah. If you watch every 4th episode,
absolutely,
or you only fast forward to, you watch just the part about podcasts and then you bail.
Yeah,
that's fine. That doesn't bother me. I would love for you to watch the whole thing though, please. But if you don't, whatever.
That would be really cool if you watched the entire thing. We got all hyped up because when we released our first episode, we got way more views than we thought we were going to get. Even my bold predictions were 20.
Yeah.
And we went into YouTube and we saw that we have 75.
We're sitting right around 70.
70 views.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which is crazy. And we were like super hyped up. And then we looked into like what a view is on YouTube, and it's if you watched for 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's an important tidbit.
So
which could be value to someone watching that's interested in this. Like I didn't know. We literally looked it up 5 minutes before starting this.
Like what classifies a view? Like did 70 people watch an entire hour of us talk about watches?
Hell no.
They didn't.
No. But that's all right. That's all right. And another thing on closing on that little like topic of releasing the first episode, I think there's a lot of value, and we already know this, in the clips and just sharing like little 15 to 30 second snippets. And if that's how people consume it, that's how people consume it. You know, if they only ever see, follow us on Instagram, by the way, Normalize Talking About Watches.
Normalize Talking About Watches.
But if that's all they ever see, that's fine. The world is moving towards short form content, so we will move there with it. Yeah. But we're going to have these long ones for the people interested. I know for a fact, as does Joe, a few people listened from start to finish. Yeah. Which is sick.
Yeah, short form, long form, I think there's value in both. So it's just whatever you're interested in, whatever you like. And
we'll also start to do shorter episodes every now and then.
Yeah.
Because there's been some feedback that it's a lot, which it is. We know that. An hour is a long time.
I'm extremely grateful for an hour of someone's day, but you don't have to give me that.
Right. Like exactly.
Not always, at least.
Right. And we will try to cater to all.
Yeah.
Short episodes, clips, long.
Yeah. And today could be a little bit shorter of an episode.
Yeah.
I had so I went to New York.
Tell us about it.
I told you whenever I went to New York. So I went to New York and it was a little bit cold. It wasn't that cold. I got super lucky with the weather. And I had a crazy realization. And the crazy realization was, and maybe this is obvious, but a metal banded watch is just not awesome in the cold weather. Like I thought my wrist was going to go numb.
It's so interesting. I never thought about that.
Relatively painful on the wrist.
Especially
with wind chill and, like the watch gets cold, your wrist gets cold. You know how you get cold already.
Yeah.
But then you've got like this a cold watch on your wrist. So
right on your wrist is like
absolutely. So it just started to hurt. It was weird. It was just a crazy realization. Then I thought about, leather bands in the summer. I know a lot of people wear dress watches, but also maybe not awesome because you start sweating. Maybe the band gets a little stinky.
So, don't they get like hard too?
Yeah,
like if it gets wet and then it just like
made me look deeper
cracks
into like the real uses of different kinds of watches in different settings.
There you go.
So I just thought that was like a cool realization. Also, whenever I went to Watches of Switzerland,
tell us about that.
Been there, the place was awesome. I was walking around with a friend of mine, and we were in this Soho shopping area.
Sounds about right.
And we walked out. I saw a Rolex sign, and I was like, "Can we please go in this watch store?" And she was like, "Yeah, we can go in the watch store." So we had to wait for a second, and I almost just ditched it. But when we got to the door,
you had to wait. Why?
There was a security guard.
Oh,
and
like they were only letting X amount of people
in.
Right.
You couldn't just go in and look around. And this was interesting. You had to have a person from inside, like a salesperson.
Right.
Or not a salesperson, but a person that works at Watches of Switzerland, walk you around the store. So you had to wait until one of them were free.
Interesting. That's like Cartier.
Yeah.
I tried to go into a Cartier place when we were in Italy, Cartier boutique.
Yeah.
And they almost, not that they vet you, but they almost kind of like look you up and down a little bit, which is a massive thing about this podcast.
Yeah.
That is the annoying thing that is in the watch world is like, you're not a qualified buyer, you know, almost is kind of the vibe they give off. Or like, you know, I remember I tried to go to a Rolex boutique, not a Rolex boutique, an authorized dealer in Italy.
Yeah.
They came to the door, same deal, security guard, but they were doing it because of COVID. So it was a little bit different. But the guy was kind of like, hey, we only have this Rolex, like at the front door. And like kind of asked me, like, we only have this one. Or, do you want it or not? Kind of thing was kind of what he was getting out of me. And I'm like, well, I'm here to look. I don't know. Maybe I do want it. And he was kind of just like standoffish. And I was like, this is not a good vibe. We didn't even go in. Well, I felt pressured. Like, I wanted to go look at the watch, touch it, feel it, see it. I probably wasn't going to buy it.
So I almost walked away, but I'm really glad that I didn't. And the guy that was in there, his name was Jamal. He was awesome. Super cool dude. You know, we walked around. We talked about watches for a while. They had awesome JLC collection.
They had some sick inventory.
They had Oris. They had 2 Rolexes for sale.
Unheard of.
Crazy. But they were also pretty crazy. Like,
but they were new, right?
They were brand new.
Yeah,
brand new date. I mean, they had a very well put together pre-owned collection,
right?
But you know, as far as brand new watches sitting in the case, they had 2 day dates. One was a smaller one was a bigger one. Diamonds on each of them all over it. Not necessarily my thing, but they were cool watches. I'm sure they sold relatively quickly.
Yeah.
They have Patek in there, Omega, Breitling, Cartier.
Everything.
It's a really cool store. And
That's
then
sick.
Downstairs, they had like their pre-owned selections, more pre-owned selections, and that was really cool. And they had Grand Seiko in the basement. They had a little bar in the basement. Really interesting pre-owned selection of Rolexes. Like I saw like a 1970s Cellini model that was a gold band that looks a lot like that pulsar that I have.
Yep.
Or like a Cartier tank for people that can think about that.
Very uncharacteristic of Rolex.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never seen anything like it, and we had an Onyx style. It was really interesting. Jamal is a professional, like an expert level motorcycle rider, which
kind of wild.
For fun fact, just a random fun fact, that means that when you take a turn on the motorcycle on the racing bikes, that your knee touches the ground,
which is absolutely insane.
That determines that you are an expert level rider.
And they wear like pants with. I looked after you told me
like
this.
A knee pad
they have like a carbon fiber knee pad that literally scrapes the turns, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah. So Jamal was sick. Hopefully he is listens to this at some point. So shout out Jamal. I'm gonna be back, bro, and we're gonna talk about some of those JLCs because that might be next on the list.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's give him a brief little. Actually, let's leave it at that.
Yeah, be next on the list.
Yeah.
Second thought was when we, are, I guess, putting content out into the world. Nick's a photographer by trade, and I've been learning a lot from him, and I was just kind of paying more attention to watch content. Mm-hmm. And you introduced this to me. I didn't know it, and maybe it was an observation that you did, or maybe it was something that you looked up on Google or whatever, but all pictures. And as soon as I say this, now you'll, like, anyone listening or anyone watching, like whenever you see watches on Instagrams, you'll notice this. All watch pictures, like 97% of them.
Anyone with any thought put into it.
Are set to 10 and 2.
Yeah.
And even further than that.
No, it's 10, 10. Yeah, 10 and 2, but 10 o'clock is the time.
And then even further than that, the seconds hand is at like 31 seconds.
Yeah, it's like right there.
Just past it.
Yep.
And if there is a GMT hand, it is set, because we were looking at this and then I looked further into it after we already shot some content with our GMTs. But the GMT hand is set to 5 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Why 5?
That's what it's set at.
Oh,
just
nice.
When you're looking at pictures, you find GMT pictures.
5.
It's at 5. The GMT hand's at 5.
It
seconds
slices
hand.
The dial beautifully.
Yep. So you have 10 o'clock on a GMT. You have 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then or 10, whatever you want to call it. 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. The GMT hand is at 5 o'clock, and the seconds hand is at 31 seconds.
I get it. It's at 5 so that you can see all the hands.
Yeah,
because if they put it at 6, it would be overlapping with the second.
Yeah, it would be overlapping. Yeah.
And it honestly, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, and if you check out our Instagram, you'll see. I don't think I shot a few of the. This is before. To answer your question, I learned it in Dimitri.
Got it.
I was looking around. They have like a bunch of art. They're a dealer for multiple brands, and all the brands have their own little like. I don't know what that's called. What's the word I'm thinking of?
You're just making a square.
Yeah, but like the big like, those vinyl like stand, like the Tudor thing has like they have the big stand.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what it's called.
Just display case area.
Yeah. And I looked around and I'm like, that watch is at 1010 and that watch is also at 1010. That's not a coincidence. And I asked and they were like, oh, it cuts the dial into perfect thirds and it makes it an extremely like satisfying photo.
Yeah.
And it allows you to see everything. You can see the whole watch.
Yeah.
Whereas like you'll probably see some photos that I've taken just before I knew this where like maybe the second hand or the minute hand is like over the date window.
Yeah.
And you can't see the date window and it's not the best photo to watch. Yeah. So that's cool.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's just
Absolutely.
not something that I was necessarily aware of as a synonymous thing across all watch content of people that know what they're doing, I guess.
Yeah.
And you pointed it out, and ever since you pointed it out, I found it really interesting that every single photo I see has it.
Yeah.
Everything's set at 1010, and now if you're listening or watching, the more watch content you see, you're going to see it, especially from us.
It's a fun little thing to notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
So those are my two tidbits of my random thoughts of the day, or random watch thoughts of the day.
I love it.
Let's get into like the meat of the epi today.
Okay.
So I'll let you start it off.
All right. So we'll do you want to start with what's on your wrist or do you want to let's put that in the middle of the episode somewhere?
Oh, we can start with what's on your wrist. What do you got on?
Pride and Joy.
Oh, you brought it.
I didn't plan on wearing this in an early episode just because I wanted to highlight some other watches that I had before this one.
Yeah.
But this is the watch of watches for me. Actually, it's not. It's one behind the watches of watches for me. But this is the GMT Master 2. This is a 2021, I believe. I got it last year. 2021.
2021.
GMT, the old root beer. We've tried this before. The camera does kind of pick it up, but sometimes it doesn't. But it is, in my opinion, one of the most unique color combos on a high-end watch out there.
It's awesome.
The little quick backstory is once I got into watches, I was looking at the ones that I could afford. Let's call it that. And this isn't that expensive of a watch. It's not cheap, but it's not that expensive in the watch world relative to all higher end watches. I kind of just saw it and I was like, oh, that's cool. Interesting colors. It's black and brown almost. That's why it goes by the root beer. I wear a lot of black. I immediately liked it, so I inquired about it. Ended up getting it. And it has become by far my favorite watch. It is interesting because it's two-tone rose gold. So a lot of people kind of steer clear of it, which I've noticed and I've heard just like through the grapevine from other people that are, in Dimitri whenever we're in there in another watch store. They kind of two-tone watches just weren't. I don't think they were that popular.
Why do you think? Why?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think
it's a good look.
I love it. I think some people are either full gold.
Yeah.
Or stainless steel. Like, I think it just is like that weird, like, middle child type thing, which, in my opinion, I can't afford the full gold version. So that was just out of the
rose gold. I mean,
yeah, I didn't even.
Insane. It's like 30.
I think it's almost 40 grand.
40?
Yeah, something like that.
$40,000?
They just raised prices again. So
yeah.
I don't know what it is now, but yeah, it's just out of this world. Also, a little too much.
It's a lot on the wrist.
It's a lot. It's just gold. Like, it's all gold. Rose gold.
All rose gold, which pops.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
an interesting
more
look.
than gold in a way when it's all together.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the watch I wear the most by far. It is awesome. I don't use it for the GMT function very often. I'm not an avid traveler. I don't think many people that have these use them for the GMT function, but I have when I went to Italy, and it was just fun. It's a fun little, like, getting to use the the utility of a watch
Yeah.
is a blast. Whether and it
really
last
is.
year, literally, I only did it one time, but it was like I just remember landing in Italy and being like, I'm gonna set my watch so that I know what time it is at home and what time it is here, and that was fun. So extremely useful watch for avid travelers that cross time zones. But if you're not doing that, it's also just, in my opinion, one of the best looking Rolexes out there.
Absolutely.
And I love it. And I wear it all the
What
time.
drew you to like GMT versus wanting to try and get a sub versus maybe like a Yachtmaster? Because like there's like many watches that are in that price range.
True.
And like you could have gotten any of them within a certain time period, call it 2 years.
I would say
like what drew you there?
Yeah. I went through the website. After I bought my first one, I went through the website and I like started to learn a little bit more. I wanted to make sure I understood. When I bought my first one, and we talked about this on either the first or second episode.
Talk about it for Epi One. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about them. Like literally. I liked the look of it. I didn't know anything about watches, really, for the most part. I had very like surface level knowledge. When I started to look through them, I just remember this one was like in the price point I could afford, and it was also like it caught my eye. Like I didn't settle on this by any means. I'm scrolling through all of them. I don't know how many configurations there are of watches. They have like 6 different types, and then there's like colors, bracelets, diamonds, dials amongst those. So there's I don't know. There's probably 100. I'm sure we could look that up, but there's probably 100 different configurations at least.
Yeah.
This one just like caught my eye, and I didn't even look at any others. Like I kind of settled on this immediately, which was kind of crazy. Now, obviously, it's been some time. There's others on my wish list, but like this one caught my eye. And then the thing that put me over the edge is when I first went into Dimitri and asked them about it and asked if I could see one or like if they had an exhibition model or like just talking about it. They kept telling me like, oh, like, no one really has those. I don't really see those very often. I started to look. I think you love doing this too, but like sniping watches on people's wrists out in public.
Absolutely, yes.
And if you're into
100%.
watches, I'm sure you do the same thing because I get people saying nice watch. I say nice watch to people all the time.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's kind of looking. And as I started looking after being into this, like I don't think I've yet to see one on someone else in person. It's not like it's a rare watch. It's very common.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen one locally. And that was like the thing that put me over the edge. I was like, I want something that's different.
Yeah,
and
it is very original. I've never seen one.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only one that I've seen, at least in our little world we live in here in Charleston. That was what got me. A sub is a great watch. Absolutely on my list. I will 100% have one.
Yeah.
Just a black sub, but a lot of people have them. So it wasn't on my like. I consider watch purchases not a achievement, and like a goal and like a reward for hard work, let's call it. And a sub wasn't really like checking that box for me.
I still think a birth year sub is a really cool thing.
That is, I do agree. Yeah. That's a great idea. And I actually do every time I look. And every time I go in Dimitri, I always go to the pre-owned section and I just peek and see if there's a 95
Matt
in there.
could get you one if you wanted it. Like,
but something about like stumbling across it makes
the impulse buy is kind of fun.
It makes it more exciting to go in and hope it's there, but almost hope it's not because you're like, I don't really want to spend $10,000 today, but if it's there, I'll do it, kind of thing. So I have yet to. And Matt, if you're listening, which shout out Matt, he listened to the whole episode.
Yeah, he's the man.
If you're listening, don't source me one. Don't even bring it up. Yeah. I want to just stumble across it. So yeah, that's my little story about the root beer.
Yeah,
I love this watch, and it is beat up, and I love that about it. Like I don't baby this watch at all.
Don't baby that thing.
It is scratched. I've bumped it on shit. There's a scratch on the bezel, which is like. I told Joe.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday. Like, we wish we remember.
What did you do?
I have no idea. And that's what's just tough. I wish I remembered, like, oh, I tripped and fell and I hit it. Or I banged it on something.
I've got a great story about that.
I can't wait to get to your watch because that is what I wish happened. But unfortunately, I think I just hit it on something and I scratched the shit out of it.
I have a teaser, probably, definitely for a later episode. We don't have to get into it at all. But is the watch that you just got your number one? Because you just said that's your number two.
Yeah.
Is your
by far.
That's your number one.
But I'm not, we can't intro it.
Because people that are listening, people that, like, if you're listening, the root beer is an iconic model.
Yeah.
Right. Like the two-tone root beer is awesome. It went absolutely insane on the gray market. In last year, 2 years, what, 35,000?
It was
$32,000 at some point.
So okay, yeah. So to little backstory, this was 14.8
Yeah. Okay.
retail. The day I bought it, it was I checked gray market pricing just to see what it's worth. It was worth like 31.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely, and it went up from there.
And then it went up. I think it peaked, and this is, I don't know, gray market's tough to judge because there's reliable people and then there's bullshit people.
Right, yeah.
Then there's Chrono 24 that I can list my own watch and I can name my price. So you can't use that data, but accurate data from like legitimate, what I call trusted sources, I saw like 33.5.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely
Didn't you get offered 28?
I got offered I got offered a pretty high number.
Yeah.
It's something around there.
26.
No, it was up.
28,
It was closer to 30.
Right. Yeah.
And I turned it down, which was
of course.
But I turned it down
never get rid
solely
of that.
because
Can't get rid
I
of
don't
that.
care. Yeah,
why would you get rid of
that's not why I got it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just
We don't flip watches.
yeah, we don't flip watches. Like there's people that buy them and and pray for the day that someone's like, I'll buy that, and then they sell it and they don't have any attachment to it. But like this to me was like I busted my ass to get it, so I'm no shot it's going anywhere. The only way I would get rid of this watch, and I've told this to the Dimitri crew, is if I put my thoughts down for another watch that I'd like, and I don't feel comfortable spending that much money, because once you get into that world of like $25,000-$30,000 watches, that's a tough purchase.
Big world. Yeah.
That's a tough purchase. Yeah. So trading it in, let's call it, for a good dollar amount to put a dent in that next purchase and kind of like jump up a little bit is the only way I would get rid of it. But I don't plan on doing that anytime soon.
Interesting. I thought that's where you were going with that. Like your new watch was your most recent.
Yeah, and I'll little hint. I don't know when I'll put it out in the world that I have it, because it is, I would consider it like my dream watch, and I've said that since like the day I discovered it. and I think we mentioned it, funny enough, I think we mentioned it in one of the either episode 2 or 3. I said that this will be my last hint, there's a 36 millimeter watch that I really want.
Oh. And ironically, you're wearing a hoodie that's got 36 on the sleeve for some reason. I mean, it's just
big 36 guy.
A big 36 guy.
Yeah, so we'll release that watch some point down the road. All right, let's take a baby quick break.
Baby quick break? What is that? Oh, we have to check the cameras.
We're going to swap the cameras around. So yeah, quick break.
Yeah.
Still sorting out the cameras and audio, but
the cameras roll for 30 minutes at a time.
And then they break.
Remember, I turned into a Bitmoji in Epi 1.
Yep.
At this point, Epi 2's released when this comes out. So in Epi 2, Nikki C turns into a Bitmoji.
Yep.
We are working out the kinks here. So what just happened is we decided to pause and try to fix the cameras. We're not pausing again because then we couldn't figure out how to unpause.
Exactly.
And unpausing is harder than pausing.
We call these old-fashioned technical difficulties, but not hindering the success of our podcast.
No. All right. They're fun.
Let's get back into it.
Fun. Tell me
about your
my
watch.
It is, man, it's my favorite watch.
I love it.
It is my favorite watch.
Let's go.
This is my number one.
It should be. For the best reason.
Sentimental value is of the most important thing, I guess, for me.
That you're on a trend of that too. Your last couple watches were very sentimental.
Yeah. So this is a Sea Dweller, Rolex Sea Dweller. I think the reference number is 16600.
We'll fact check you if not.
Yeah. So 16600. It was a discontinued Sea Dweller. The new Sea Dwellers are a lot bigger and thicker. Mm-hmm. This one's a little bit smaller. It's got a date on it. It does not have a. That might be really loud. It does not have a date bubble, but it does have a date on it,
which I think is a cool, unique aspect of that watch. Because
you're not gonna be able to see this, but
no, but there'll be a picture on Instagram.
Right, yeah. Couple reasons that this is my favorite watch. One, it was my first Rolex.
Huge.
2, it was a graduation gift from my parents for graduating college, and it is engraved on the back,
which is awesome.
And it has my initials on it, and it says J and S, With love, mom and dad, May 5th, 2018.
Doesn't get better.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't get better.
Which is the day I graduated college. To me, I think it was like, I mean, I was like kind of teared up whenever I opened it up.
As you should.
It was like, holy shit, like this is.
You weren't expecting it too, which is cool.
Yeah, no.
Like your dad wears a Rolex, but
Right.
it's not like you would ever assume I'm going to get one.
Yeah. No,
which is
it was
awesome. Like some people know, some people have the
Right.
idea, like, I'm getting a big gift for graduation. You had no idea, which is sick.
It's like, it's just like not how I grew up by any means, right?
Right,
Like it was like a shock and it was awesome.
Great shock.
It was a great shock. We were in a hotel room in Johnson City, Tennessee, and I unboxed this thing and I'm like,
Unreal.
Holy crap. Like this is insane.
Yeah.
And so funny story though, because we were talking about not remembering where he got his scratch on his bezel. I
Still hurts,
fell. This is what, like 3 years ago now?
Probably,
I
yeah.
fell,
20
years ago.
2020.
I stepped off a curb. I was walking in Charleston. We live. I was walking up King Street, and I stepped off a curb that like I didn't quite realize.
We won't talk about why I didn't realize it was there.
It was higher than I thought it was. Or maybe
Who put that curb there?
It was new.
Yeah, it was in. I think I saw him doing construction like maybe a day before you tripped.
The curb was new.
Yeah, it was brand new.
And I tried to. I kind of just fell like very aggressively down in my left arm, which where my watch on, smacked the ground, and this had to get replaced. I ended up getting a new band, and I sent the watch in for servicing. So when I did that, I got a brand new band, and I got a new clasp as well. I had to.
Right.
But that left a just massive gash on the bottom of it, which I fully remember how it happened. I don't have that band anymore. I think Rolex has that probably.
They won't send it back, which honestly, keep going, but I'm going to make a mental note. I want to hear, let's talk a little bit about the service experience.
Servicing process?
Yeah, but not right now. Go ahead. Continue what you were saying.
No, we can talk about the servicing process. So
I think it's cool. Not many people have had a Rolex service.
I hit the watch so hard that like I was worried that something had messed up internally. I don't think anything did, but it was time for it to be serviced. And this is like a 2008 to 2012 model. I got it in 2018.
Yeah,
you want to service your watches like what every 7 years or so.
I forget what it is, but
I took it to Dimitri. I was like, guys, I really messed up. I had this band. It's really hard to close right now.
Yeah, the clasp was all jacked up.
The clasp was all jacked up. And so I sent it in. It's $700 to get it serviced.
Yep.
Something like that. $700 to get it serviced.
In your situation.
Service.
Oh no, that's just for
and
standard.
then in my situation, it came out to like $1,200 to get it just fully restored. Came back, the thing was just flawless. It came back in this incredible Rolex pouch. This green Rolex pouch. We'll get a picture of one.
We can post that on Instagram too to show because those are so fucking
If
cool.
you're listening, I'll describe it. It's like this really, really nice looking green velvet pouch with a button on it that the watch was in.
This is a nice little touch. Like it probably cost them under $1.
It was awesome.
But it's so cool.
It was awesome. Nikki C and I tried to make them out of scrap leather and
did not go well.
Well, it's just way harder than thought.
It's way harder than we thought. We tried to make them by hand.
A lot of places just give them away. So like, why would you do that? But anyway, got that back. Had a brand new bracelet on it, and then he bought me this, which is from Rubber B. Shout out Rubber B, free plug. And it is awesome. A rubber bracelet that allows you to keep the original clasp on the bottom, and I think that's an awesome look.
Gives the Oyster Flex vibe.
It gives the Oyster Flex vibe. We're talking about Matt a lot, but yesterday we just saw Matt, and he has actually an Oyster Flex on a sub.
Genius.
And it's insane. He sourced a few different parts to make it work, but that's always a cool look. Take a sports watch, put a rubber band on it.
Yeah.
I think it's always a classy look to have a rubber band on a sports watch.
Yep.
And they're extremely versatile.
Yeah.
You can wear them and it looks nice. You can wear it in a formal setting. You can wear it in a sporty setting.
Absolutely.
You can do whatever you want. And I don't think my wrist would get very cold wearing this. In the summer, I know that if I sweat rubber, it doesn't really matter. So it's an extremely versatile watch.
Yeah.
But to the root of it all, it's just to me, it's the most special piece that I have because it was just an incredible gift from my parents.
Beautiful.
And it'll always be kind of my number one, no matter what watches I have.
Engraved watches are sick. I personally don't have one. I've thought about it. I don't know why, like something about it. It's hard to do because it's such an expensive thing. I think that's the best way to engrave a watch is someone else does it and gives it to you. Yeah. Because it's hard to like send it off, get it engraved. I don't know. But I think that that's sick. Not many people I think can say that they have a gifted engraved watch alone,
the only
let
thing
alone a Rolex.
I think, I mean, it's just, this is my thoughts because I would love to replicate this for like my kids one day. I would like to buy a birth year watch when my kids are born.
Buy a watch the day they literally you could buy
Maybe
it like
literally
the month they're born or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a sick idea. And then you just stow it away.
And then stow it away.
Watch is the same age as them.
Exactly.
That's sick.
And never wear it.
Yeah. I think
that's in a safe.
That's a great idea.
Ideally, I'm blessed enough to be able to do that. And so
Joe's unborn child, if you're listening, pretend you're not listening. You have a gift coming. We were just talking about the great element of surprise.
Yeah.
Hopefully your son doesn't hear this or your daughter.
Well, you're right. I hope they do hear it.
Well, yeah.
Because that would be cool. Yeah. Then we would have stood the test of time.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because you could have a kid tomorrow. You could have a kid.
Whoa, no. Are you kidding me? My mom listens to this.
No kids.
All right.
Great story.
Let's talk.
Switch gears a little bit.
Yeah, we
got 20 minutes. This is perfect.
Big time. I want to talk about like the podcast business itself.
Yep.
And what it takes to start up from scratch a podcast. And so I know you've got some costs maybe written down or that you remember. Let's dive into that.
Okay. Yeah, full disclosure, there are, and this is a topic we're going to, discuss as well, but there are expensive ways and there's cheap ways, or let's call them inexpensive ways to do this. I chose somewhere I would call in the middle, maybe slightly higher than middle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to break it down because I actually have all the prices, being that this is the goal for this is a business. So I documented obviously everything I purchased to bring this to life.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting. And I think if you're out there, wanting to start a podcast, I think it'd be cool to see this broken down. And I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds, but maybe we will on a future episode, like even more granular. But I'll basically just run over all of the things.
Let's start with the space. So like, if you want, you could
we're in.
The space we're in right now. You could record from home, or you could record from random places for free if you wanted to. So you could do it cheaper that way.
Yep.
You could do it nicer, maybe as well.
Yep.
But like, what did the space cost you on an upfront cost or an annualized basis?
Okay, so this space is $1,950 a month. And it is 3 rooms, 4 rooms total. 4 rooms. One of the rooms is rented out. So that's cool. Offsets some costs a little bit because we only really needed 1 room for this project.
So what is the new cost now after renting that out?
14 something.
14.
I rented it very inexpensively to a very close person to me. So that room is
smart man.
Checked off the box just a little bit to offset some of the costs. So monthly rent on this obviously is a cost.
$1,400.
Yeah, let's call that $1,400.
Boom.
The space was not great when I got it. It was run down. The previous person had like stuff hanging up everywhere and like just literally left.
Yeah.
Long story short, the previous tenant just like kind of abandoned this place. So there was like stuff in here. Like there actual was like TVs mounted on the wall that were ancient and like light. There was some like light fixtures. There was like just holes in the wall where you had stuff hung up. So I spent, this is a tough number. I spent $2,400
on
paint and drywall work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was to get the space like what I felt. I wanted to walk in the door and be like, I like it here. Yeah. And the way I walked in the first day was like, I hate it here.
Right.
There was a moment where I was like, oh my God, this sucks.
Yeah.
And
you created the vibe in here is awesome.
Yeah, I tried to create this. I think this is very me.
Yeah.
Leather,
this vibe is
dark
awesome.
Paint. It's like this
a
kind
cool,
of my vibe.
Very modern looking desk.
Yep.
Everything ties in color wise and color schemes.
Yep. So that was tough. That was my first expense basically.
Okay.
Was the $2,400 to get it painted, all the drywall fixed.
Paint and drywall. Boom.
Add it to the
2,400.
Yep. Add it to the
A little ticker up here is gonna, have
Add
all
the
our
math.
costs, and we're gonna add everything up for people that are watching on YouTube.
Okay. Add $301 was just the cost of getting the paint.
What is the one?
I guess that was
just-
taxes
you got
of
a
Welcome to
receipt.
Charleston.
Welcome
I
to
have the receipts.
Okay.
So this is
Oh,
all.
he's got
So
receipts.
yeah. Well, I have a
Everybody
Google
say that.
Sheets broken down of
Okay.
everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
$301 is
$301.
I had to pay for the actual paint. I paid. Oh, this one hurts too. I paid $1,200 for chairs, which are not even in this room. They're in that room. Because that was for, so a little backstory as well. There's two places to record in here. There's the one we're using, and there's a white box room over there that is designed. This idea is still alive for other people to come and record their own podcast.
Yep.
That's the business side of this outside of what we're doing. So I spent $1,200 on 4 chairs the reason that they were $1,200 because they're comfortable chairs that I felt would keep people's posture up so that they could actually record a podcast.
I have such great posture.
Yeah, we're doing this lax, but I wanted other people to like feel comfortable and be able to like go in and and sit nice and comfy.
Okay. So $1,200 on chairs that are not in use.
Yes, exactly. They're literally collecting dust in there, unfortunately.
Maybe bring that cost over here or something.
All right, $890 for this desk. This desk is sick. I will have this desk forever. This will be in my house. So
$890 for the desk.
yeah.
Get a cooler desk if you wanted to.
You could get a cooler desk. Okay. Next would be, this gets a little expensive as well. $1,300
On.
all the podcast equipment.
Okay. And
So I bought
all
a bundle.
Podcast equipment is 4 of these.
4 microphones, 4 stands, and you can't see it on camera, but the actual like brain of the
Soundboard.
operation, the soundboard.
Yep.
That was $1,300.
So for
great investment.
4 microphones.
4 microphones.
4 stands for the microphones.
Yep.
And a soundboard.
And the cables to everything
and all
you
the
need.
cables and cords.
This is an important number.
$1,300.
This is, I would say
Boom.
this is the minimum
$1,300.
investment to do this in a professional way. There's cheaper microphones. You can plug microphones. Some people literally will plug a microphone into their phone.
Yeah, people use the wire headphones.
Exactly.
Or AirPods.
So there's very inexpensive ways
I
to
hate
do
those
this.
podcasts.
Right. And most people do hate those podcasts. So that was a non-negotiable. I was getting the best of the best equipment. This is pretty much the best of the best equipment. Rode, very, very high quality audio, very reliable stuff.
Also free plug.
Yeah, free plug to Rode. Okay. What else is on here? That couch I did not pay for because I paid for that, but I've had that for like 5 or something years.
What about the cameras?
Okay,
Give me,
cameras.
like a camera rundown because you already had the cameras.
I had the cameras.
If you were gonna buy cameras for something like this, how much is that gonna run you?
This is where it's going to get really expensive.
Okay.
But and once again, you don't need to do this. I have
Right.
witnessed people use their phones. If you have 2 people, you can both set your phones up on a tripod. You can absolutely record a podcast like that, and you can absolutely go out into the world.
And you're not gonna have our 30-minute issue that we have with nice cameras.
Exactly. Cameras are about $4,000 a piece.
That's a big number.
Yes, we have 2 of those.
4,000, 8,000.
Yeah, that one hurts.
Ouch. Can you, what would be the cheapest camera? Because you know cameras really well. What would be the cheapest camera that would work?
I think you could get like a $600 or $700 camera that would have like a good focus, like an autofocus that would make sure that we stay in focus, and would look high quality enough to give like a professional vibe. So let's call that like a $1,400 entry level, in my opinion, for like a nice crispy look.
But that could go all the way up to
that could go to
$10,000 a camera.
You could get red cameras, which are like what movies are shot on, 50 G's. If you wanted to go that hard, no one should ever highly, highly, highly recommend not going. What we have, this is overkill.
Yeah.
These cameras are for my other business, so this is overkill, but they work for this.
Right.
So let's $4,000 a piece. That's tough, but like I use them for other things. So
they're there. $8,000.
Okay. There's only a couple of things left. Wi-Fi is $290 a month. That is terrible.
Do you need Wi-Fi to record?
No, but if we look stuff up and like browse while we're recording, you kind of should have Wi-Fi. I don't think you need. No, I guess you don't need it.
You could just have cellular on your phone.
Yeah, you don't need it. So Wi-Fi is something I chose to add. Obviously, this is a space where I wanted people to be able to have laptops. So like we won't put that on the ticker. Energy. There is a bill for this, $300 a month for energy, heat, AC, lights.
Do your renters split that with you?
They do not, because I'm the best landlord of all time.
Killer deals out here.
I do not charge them. Okay, lights, $150. I cheaped out on lights because we didn't really need them too bad. I wasn't trying to get like the best of the best. So I got 2 LED panels, which they're up on. You can obviously see that we're lit.
So we're lit.
So that was $125. Is that what I said?
Yeah, 150 I heard.
Or okay, something like
$300 for the bill, power bill.
Yep.
Another $150 for lights.
Okay. Yep. And then let me make sure I have a couple other things on here I'm not going to count because they're stupid.
What are they?
Like the curtains, which I guess are kind of important.
I mean, it's a vibe thing, right?
Okay. That was $128 for the curtain rod.
Yeah, for us, that was expensive. $128.
Yeah. Let me make sure that. Let me see. I pay $50 a month for Adobe.
Need it.
Which
need it.
Yeah, that's something I would say is mandatory because it helps to put this all together.
Yeah, 50 bones.
Yep. Anything else that's related specifically to the podcast? There's a table in that room that was $228. That's
absolutely insane.
Yeah, we don't use that.
Table, also not in use.
Security deposit for this place was $1,000.
$1,000 security deposit.
That was just for me to get this the key, which that's a cost.
I hope you're on Sheets and you have the ability to give me a sum because I do not have the ability to do a sum.
I am on Sheets, but I'm leaving out some stuff, so I didn't add it all up. We'll put the sum up there. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
I think that is the last thing. I had to get a memory card, which was $100. I got a badass memory card for the soundboard to make sure that all the content's backed up to the soundboard. That was $100.
$100.
That's the last thing. And then the most important one, time. We are recording this on a Sunday. Okay. Joe has a full-time job, very demanding. I have a full-time job, very demanding. And this is us carving it out an hour or two, probably 2 hours of our time on a Sunday to record this because we enjoy it. Yeah. So time is not able to put a number on it, but I mean, I know what I feel my time is worth, and it's not easy to block off.
What do you think the cheapest possible way
to do this?
To do it at a high production level.
All right.
Do you think so? Do you
rapid fire? $1,400 for cameras.
$1,400 for cameras. Do you think you could do it with one camera?
I think you could do it with one camera.
All right. So $1,400.
So no, let's do $700.
$700.
One camera. I would say that you could get these nice microphones. They're called.
Just give me a number.
I would say they're like $50 to $100 a piece.
Okay.
So two of those.
So two of those, $200.
$200 on mics.
$900.
We're at $900. And then I would say Adobe is pretty much mandatory. I think
Adobe or Adobe?
It's Adobe. Well, I mean, I have no idea actually.
I don't either.
I think it's Adobe. Okay. I would say that there's probably a cheaper option. I bet Apple has like a
suite.
I think GarageBand actually.
Oh,
you could probably use GarageBand, which I think comes with an Apple computer. Obviously, an Apple computer is $1,000. So however you want to get that, you have to get something like that. Let's call it $1,000.
We'll just assume people have a computer.
Okay, so then free.
That's free.
Free. So we're at $900.
Right.
I think
$950.
I think that's pretty much it.
So for $1,000, you could start your own podcast
and have it look
at your
legit.
House and have it look legit.
Yeah. I think if you want to just start one and you don't care about it legit, say you only want to do an audio, video is not mandatory.
It's not.
Right? We chose video because this is my world and I think it's important. I think that
I love the video.
I think that our value is going to come with people seeing us and like learning us and like personality and like stuff like that, I think is conveyed much better
Absolutely.
on video. So video to us is mandatory.
We also haven't quite figured out how to post it to like Spotify and Apple
Exactly.
yet. So we're on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
And maybe by the time this comes out, we'll have
If
it
it's
posted
not
on Spotify and
it's
Apple.
going to be.
Yeah, so
I will not let
hope
that
so.
happen.
But that, full disclosure, that's also the other reason why
It's
we're on
mainly video. All right, so I would say $1,000 is entry level pricing to get a well produced podcast that I think people could watch and say this has had some time and effort put into it. So yeah, it's really not that. It doesn't have to be that expensive. I chose an expensive route because I want it to be done correctly and I wanted it to look legit, and I think it does.
I think it does too.
So there you go.
So that's
pretty
the quick
much
rundown of startup costs.
Yeah. And then, I
Ours-
mean, not to add, well, no, never mind. I was gonna say not to add all the time and effort. Like, if we're sticking to strictly monetary, that's a good rundown. But like, there's a lot of time and effort put into planning. Releasing it. We had to watch the episode a few times back and edit it and clipping all of it, and you have to start
content,
the Instagram account and create the content around it. So there's a lot of time. It is not as easy as I never thought it was going to be easy, but I didn't think it was going to be that hard.
Yep.
And it's not that easy. It's pretty difficult.
I think that's a Coldplay quote.
Call me Chris.
Ooh, I don't know his name. Pratt? No, that's Captain. Is that Captain America?
Chris.
It's
Call me Chris.
Completely irrelevant. Someone tell me what the lead singer of
I think his name's
Coldplay is.
Chris.
Yeah.
Something.
Hey, that is a if you made it to this point in the episode right now, DM us the lead singer of Coldplay.
Yeah.
And we'll maybe enter you into a giveaway.
Yeah.
Let's do something like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Give us the lead singer
of Coldplay.
On Normalize, at Normalize Talking About Watches.
At Normalize Talking About Watches is in my Instagram bio. It's in his Instagram bio.
Yep.
DM us on our watch account.
I can't even think of his name.
The lead singer of Coldplay, and we will enter you into a giveaway. We'll post about this.
Yep. It's going to be something great.
By the time we do this, we'll give it maybe like a week or so, and we will send the winner maybe a watch, maybe a book. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
We have a couple things up our sleeves that we'd like to give away that I think are great little gifts for someone who is either already interested in watches or is looking to get into them.
Absolutely.
So there you go. DM us the lead singer of Coldplay's name, and we can't even freaking think about it, which is hilarious.
I love it.
That's perfect. So we'll learn as well. I won't even Google it from now until then.
Okay.
I'm just going to wait for someone to tell me.
We're going to learn.
All right. Is that it, brother?
I think that's
I'm looking
today.
through. I think that's our notes.
Yeah, I think that's it for today. If you made it here all the way to however far we're in, we said it was going to be a short episode. I don't think it was, but
sitting right about close to an hour.
Thank you for staying. Thank you for hanging out with us for the last hour.
Yep.
It seriously means a lot. And if there was anything in the episode that you thought was cool, if you learned anything, if you hated it, if you liked it, if you kind of liked it, give us some feedback. We're trying to get better. We want to hear what you like, what you want to hear us talk about, what you don't want to hear us talk about.
Yep.
And, we want you to share the show. So we want to be providing as much value as possible. The more you tell us what you want, the more we can provide that value. And
agreed. We're not going to be anything without the feedback, because what we think works is
we're not
always right.
Without people sharing the show and telling people about it.
That's
the best way for
subscribe.
us to grow. Yeah.
There's a reason people say all that every time they have a YouTube video.
Right.
I watch a decent bit of YouTube and I'm always like, why do they always have to say that? It's insanely important. Like just doing minimal research
and
liking and subscribing actually pushes the video out into the world, which is sick.
And I need to do a better job because I think most people do it on the intro of like mentioning that.
Yeah.
Just because like we lost a lot of people after 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So there was the majority of people that viewed the first episode that we released on YouTube.
Didn't see.
This was a little disheartening, but we'll get better.
Sorry, we'll take it on the chin.
Right. Yeah. We'll take it on the chin. But they left after like 15 or so minutes. So
12
minutes. So it makes sense to say, like and subscribe and share the show at the very beginning in the intro. And if I'm going to be doing the intros, I need to get better at that. So I'll try to mention that moving forward. in the intros.
Beautiful. All right.
So
That'll do.
that'll do. That'll do, donkey.
See you next week.
See you next week.